All right, so this is the Land Information Council meeting. I'll start with roll call. Brittany here. Jennifer? Here. Julie? Here. Elizabeth Franick?
Here.
Tracy? Here. Patrick is excused. Ashley? Tom?
Here.
Bruce?
Here.
Right. Just a quick welcome to all of our new members. Nice to see you guys at the meeting. So I'll need an approval of the agenda as presented.
This is Jen. I so move.
This is Julie. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carried. We have public comments, but I don't see anybody in the boardroom or online. So we'll move on to the first agenda item, which is the minutes from the previous meeting.
Franick, so moved.
Okay, I'm looking for a second.
I'll second it, Tracy.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion carried. All right, so the next item is agenda item 5. Approval of the 2023 W Rock imagery proposal. So at the last Land Information Council meeting, we had a discussion about bumping our cycle from every 5 years to including the third year, so a 2.5 year roughly every flight. And this is for kind of that Earth imagery, what you think of when you open Google Maps, the trees and the building tops. So I had Ayers Associates write up a proposal. We stuck with the 6-inch because I think that works pretty well for our county departments and the public. The decision we have, is first, do we want to go ahead and move forward with doing the 2.5 year gap instead of the 5 year cycle? And then the second decision is, do we want to do the full county, which is the islands, all of the islands and the mainland, or do we just want to do the mainland and Madeline Island? So on the page 2 of the proposal, halfway down, there's a bolded ortho imagery section, and that contains kind of that cost breakdown. So for the full county, it would be $96,000. And then if we just did Madeline Island and the mainland, it would be roughly $80,000. So just another note on that. The 2020 imagery, we had the National Park Service help us fund the cost of this with a grant. But they are only interested in a 10-year cycle of getting the Apostle Islands, so they're not interested in this. So I guess I would just say that we only need to prioritize the mainland and Madeline Island, since that's where our residents really are.
Mm-hmm.
So I would make a motion that we approve the 2023 W Rock imagery proposal with the option to cover the mainland and Madeline Island in the flight.
This is Jen. I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote then. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion carried. So we'll move on to item number 6, which is the land information grants for 2023. All right, so the grants this year are large again, which is exciting for us. This grant money comes from the retained fees and the recording documents and register deeds all across the state. So this year, the strategic initiative is bumped up to 70,000, which is the greatest we've seen it in the last 5 years. So that's nice. I think the lowest we've seen was 45,000. So again, kind of like normal, I'm applying for all of the funds that we can get. The first grant is the training and education, and I'm applying for the full 1,000. The second grant is the strategic initiative, and that's the 70,000. So I spoke with Pat McEwen, our surveyor, and he had a bit of a slower year this year in the county. So we actually still have 20,000 left of our 2022 grant for him to spend on the remonumentation project next year. So that's why you'll see no strategic initiative money is going towards the remonumentation project, which it normally does. So because we were looking at that W rock imagery, this strategic initiative money will go towards that and towards paying off the rest of our LiDAR processing bill that we have. So that was specifically 20,000 to pay off the rest of that LiDAR bill, and then 50,000 towards this W rock imagery. Then the base budget, this is the grant that covers my salary. So that is what the breakdown on the base budget is. They don't want to see me just write my salary. So I had to break it down into some categories on what I'll be doing throughout the year. So that can be seen there. Yeah, so that is the grant application. I am looking for a motion to approve the grant application as presented.
This is Julie. I'll so move.
And this is Bruce. I'll second it.
Any discussion on the grant application? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion carried. All right. Item number 7, the Plat book 2022 experience and sales update. So I'll start this one off. As you guys know, last December, we moved to Select Mapping Solutions as our Plat book company. This was our first time with them, and we made a purchase of 500 copies of the Plat book, and I think the price was roughly, $7,000. So as of today, they have offloaded 340 Plat books. So we're doing really good on getting rid of them. I think everybody's excited to see a new one. The last one was 2016, so we had quite a lag, and I think everybody was ready for the new one. We are just, we sell them for $25, and then the revenue comes out to 23 or something along those lines. So we're just about to break even on our bill from them. So Yeah, and then Jen, I don't know if you wanted to discuss some of your thoughts since you work more closely on this project.
Yeah, as far as working with mapping solutions, yeah, they were really easy to work with, lots of communication. Especially with the review process, it was super smooth and like user friendly on our end. I mean, they just had like a web page that we went in, we could make comments right there. We could draw on the map and say, no, we want this symbol and draw an arrow and like move it over here. And then, email discussion and phone calls back and forth throughout that process, which was really smooth. And they gave us all sorts of marketing materials and promotional items to distribute throughout the county. They gave us a free wall map and like digital smart map to raffle off, which we did. Yep. And they did mailers to like all the, like a bunch of people who own multiple properties in the county. Yeah, so yeah, and sales have been good. Reception's been pretty good. I know there's been some people who have disliked that we went from the larger format to the smaller. So other than that, I mean, that's kind of the gist. of
Yeah,
it.
I thought it was really, their proofing process was really nice.
Mhm.
I had heard the 2020 or the 2016 copy was really hard with proofing. It was paper back and forth and
Mhm.
that was a mess, I heard. So I think we had a really good experience with mapping solutions.
Yep. Mhm. Yeah, and one of the other nice things is because we ordered in such a small quantity, initially, they've been in contact with me like, hey, if we find any other errors that were missed in the proofing process initially after we got our first 500 books, if there's anything else we want to change, that we can do that, so that our, when we have more books ordered, which I'm sure we will, coming up on almost our 500 now, they can have that update, so long as it's nothing, major.
Yeah,
So,
very cool. Have you had any errors reported or noticed anything yourself?
not really, no. So we had done the contract to order 500 books initially, and then I had discussed with one of our sales reps to have half of that, so 250 delivered first. And so we had those 250 to get the initial kind of rush out, and then there were a few, like typos and things like that in there that they then fixed for the following 250.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That sounds great. Any questions on the plat book? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 8, the revenue and expense report. So it starts with the revenues. A couple line items that were updated since I worked on this report. The 2020 grant training is balanced out at 0, and the 2021 is balanced out at 0. Along with the 2022 training, that one is now at 275. So I took a course about a month ago on Esri and an online course. So that was what was the title of that? It was a 3-day online course of administrating Enterprise, which is kind of that server based GIS system that we moved to 2 years ago. So it was really useful. The training was great. The instructor was awesome. So moving forward, if anybody wants to, utilize some of that training, just let me know. I talked with Tracy today. They didn't do a treasurer's training, which we normally do every year, but next year we definitely will be. So those funds will be used up again, but we can always make things work if anybody's interested in a specific class or training. Yeah, so the top grant there, the base budget 2019, we got an extension for the back indexing clerk, which is our old land information officer, Karen Miller. That's been going really smooth. So I have an extension for that, just so we can utilize the rest of that, roughly $3,000. And then the other grant that expires this year is the strategic initiative grant. And so I'm working with Pat to say, what can we spend that money on, you know? So we're just thinking some remonumentation, supplies, fence posts, that kind of thing, signs. Yeah, and so the rest of our grants look good. And our revenue has been pretty spot on. There were some holes in the report from Springbrook, but I'm expecting to get those filed out come like January. Usually Sue makes sure all of that's finalized in January. So, and then if you look at the expense report, it was a pretty, you know, we didn't have very many projects this year. I did ask Aries to send us that LiDAR bill so that we can get that inputted. And right now we're at $120,000 spent. So if we get that 40,000, then that should bump us right up to what I budgeted for. So yeah. Any questions on that report? All right, hearing none, I will move on to item number 9, other business. Does anybody have any future projects or discussions they want to put on the next agenda? All right. Don't hear any. I don't have any other business for us at the time being. I think I've been in the land information officer position almost 5 years now. So I think things are going a lot smoother than they were in the beginning. The transition is over and just running smoothly. I did apply for the state's Department of Military Affairs 911 grant. So I'm sure you guys have all kind of heard about that. That doesn't affect us too much. My time on that grant is minimal, so it won't affect our bottom lines too much. We will have some cash match, but if anybody saw, we're still sitting around that $200,000 in our non-lapsing. And that's kind of what we've been steady at for the last 5 years. So I don't think the cash match will affect us too much. I also will be submitting reimbursement for the FEMA Advanced Assistance grants I've been working on the last 3 years. And so that'll bring in, I think, $25,000 or something in my time. So that'll go back into that non-lapsing fund too. So. Yeah, all right.
I suppose I might just mention, because it's land information related, that Tracy and I did a demo with LandNav for their updated software, because we've been using GCS, and we would be moving sometime this spring next year to their web-based software, LandNav. So we did a demo with that, and it looks pretty good. It looks it's different, you know, as all software changes are, but it looks like it'll be, some things will be a lot more user-friendly. And I know for me, as far as like running reports and stuff, that's going to be a lot more streamlined and easier to like extract data that, like, say someone comes in and wants a list of, I don't know, some sort of Excel list with certain of properties with certain parameters. It's going to be a lot easier for me to run those kind of lists than it was in the past.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Have you guys moved
This is Elizabeth Franick. I'm sorry. Was I interrupting anybody?
That's
ahead.
okay. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay, I had a question and a comment, for, like 911 and, trying to pinpoint people with GPS and everything and with the cell phones. Your department, is that, anything that you guys been doing also with, updating imagery for Google and all that? And if so, thank you, because, that's life-saving.
Yeah, Liz. So I work with the sheriff's department and I make sure, just for example, when I assign a new 911 address in the county, I make sure that that gets updated with the sheriff's department map right away. I also kind of coordinate the updating of like when the city of Ashland assigns a new address or when the town of LaPointe does. I make sure that that gets shared over with the sheriff's department maps, along with kind of managing like the districts for EMS. So who's supposed to be the first EMS that they contact, that goes along with all the districts. So who should be the first police department to be contacted, along with, kind of all the roads data too, so that they're up to date on who, what the road name is. And, it goes down to even kind of points of interest. So, where are the schools located, that kind of thing. So I'm working closely with them on all of that information.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Liz. So Jen, I'll just circle back real quick to that LandNav. Have you guys made any contracts with them at all, or?
No, I think that we're still working on that
Yeah,
part.
Rachel
Yeah.
and Rachel had some questions as far as the security side that she's still waiting for answers on. I talked to her right before the meeting though, and she's gonna let me know when to sign it. And then when we do, we have to pay 70% down at that time.
Okay.
But she's got all the information, all the dollar amounts and everything. So, but we don't have a choice. We have to do it in 2023. So spring is what we're shooting for.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, for the treasurer's office, it's going to be different, but I think it'll be good. I hope, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so GCS, like the program is going away. Yeah, they've only, they've had this new program for several years now and they're gonna end support for GCS, so that's why we're moving over. Well, it's the same LandNav's the same company. It's just this like their web-based system now. But yeah, and it does integrate with a lot of the ROD systems, like so we use Tryman and it integrates with Tryman. For their indexing, we can, I think, just copy over grantor grantees and things like that to change ownership. And obviously we would quality control it, check it, to just as far as like for legal descriptions and stuff, because to make sure the legals are right. But yeah, and then it's totally customizable. So like, for Julie in the ROD, she would be able to still, because I know that they use my part of the module property assessment to look up properties a lot of times. And she'll still be able to have that kind of functionality. And we can set permissions to certain users or certain user groups as far as like whether or not they can edit things or not. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so I just thinking off the top of my head, I know WG Extreme links into GCS. You can open those reports in their website. So when you guys kind of make these changes, let me know so I can make sure that that still functions properly.
Yep.
With everything.
Yeah, so then the GCS online like public access is going to look different as well. but it'll still be able to do the same kinds of things, to search and that kind of stuff.
I'm not sure you know the answer to this, but do you know if this is gonna speed up our lag that we have on our tax rolls?
I don't know, but I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
I did talk to Rachel about that. She said that has to do with internal stuff, so I don't really know, because I asked her that same question. I don't.
Yeah, and
That
I,
might be a question for Rachel.
yeah, and I've talked a lot between Rachel, ADC, who hosts WG Extreme, and LandNav. And it's a lot of back and forth blaming and
each
stuff,
other.
but for the most part, what I believe it is yeah, just kind of lag time of our server, or like their server, someone queries a search, their server has to talk to our server has to retrieve the information and then send it back to their server and then displays it. So, I mean, yeah, which is why it takes so long.
Cool. Well, hopefully it speeds it up. If not, we can
Mhm.
definitely have those conversations on how to speed that up with
Yeah,
IT.
and I think I talked to Rachel too, and I think that some server upgrades that she's doing is going to help that in the future here. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure.
Awesome.
But also the municipal treasurers will be using that. That's why we'll have to have the training next year. And I have a few new treasurers next year, so
Awesome.
that'll be all new for them, but good time to do it, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Tom, while I have you on the line, I guess another business item I was thinking of is usually the Chandlers contact me in December to talk about any snowmobile trail updates.
Okay,
I haven't heard from them yet, but it is still early. So,
okay.
is Bill Chandler still doing that?
He is, I think he is the vice president. Pat Dowse is now the acting president. So he would be the one probably to get a hold of and
Okay.
see if there's been any changes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Any other items to discuss today? All right. Well, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas, everyone. Take
Merry
care.
Christmas.